Hello everybody, my name is Brad Ward.
I'm Brian Westrom.
I'm Al Block.
Al is here as our special guest today on our Videocast. Al is the current treasurer of the Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors, hashtag Greater Realtor. He is also a member of our 2017 Leadership Academy, which just got back from Chicago visiting the National Association of Realtors. How was that, Al?
That was an awesome experience to see the magnitude and of NAR and the big institution that we belong to. They do an amazing job and they have their hand and button on everything we do.
Yeah, and speaking of keeping their finger on the pulse of things, NAR is working, and you all should be aware at home and in your offices that September 30th is the end of the National Flood Insurance Program. This program is something that sunsets from time to time, so Congress is charged with re-upping the flood insurance program. NAR is working day and night with Congress to try and get that extension in place, hopefully a long-term extension. The more certainty you can give people living in flood zones, and the more certainty you can give people purchasing home in flood zones, the better. So hopefully that gets done by the 30th, because if the flood insurance program expires on the 30th, that means all of those sales that are going to occur in flood zones will not be allowed to move forward. So we're hoping that that gets done. Look for a call to action coming from the National Association of Realtors very, very soon. Text the word Realtor to 30644. What's that number again?
30644.
Text the word Realtor to 30644 so you can get a text update to respond to that call for action with a click, click, send. Members of Congress need to hear from you. But here at the state level, legislature has been kind of in and out this summer, but we do have a couple of bills that have been introduced. Brian?
Yeah, we are pleased to announce, we've talked about this in the past, but the official introduction of the first-time homebuyer savings account here in Michigan has been introduced. Senator Pete McGregor and Senator Ken Horn have introduced Senate Bills 511 and 512 respectively. Just to revisit, this would be a new incentivized savings vehicle. We do analogize it to an education savings plan, but it's a little different in as much as it would allow for you to start saving, or your parents or grandparents to start saving for that first-time home purchase. It can be a 20-year process, it can be a 10-year process. The goal here is to incentivize folks to start saving early. You incentivize this by giving them an upfront deduction on the contributions to this fund. Right now, the bill as drafted allows for $5,000 for an individual filing singly, and also a $10,000 for individuals filing married jointly. So that's a significant incentive for contributions to this type of fund. The other key component to this is that the gain on the account grows tax-free for the purposes of your state income tax.
Mm-hmm. How do you see this benefiting some of the clients that you've been working with, Al?
Well, we see all too many instances where people come to us wanting to purchase a home, and now all of a sudden they need the money, and it's a gift or whatever, that's the nature that has to be done, and the money's not there all at one time, one lump sum today when they need it. But if there's a mechanism that incentivizes to start that savings just like you would for your child's education, you start young, little by little, even $50 something, and it keeps growing. And then at some point they have it. Housing is a human need as much as education is. I would argue that housing is a greater need and a basic human need. And if the money's there for that, someday that person, your child, will need a place to live, and that will be very helpful.
Well, we're hoping to keep more and more of those kids in Michigan as they graduate from school, and being able to give them that leg up for a home purchase in Michigan certainly will help.
One other thing that we would point out, and I would ask Al's input, is one definition in this bill would actually characterize it not necessarily as a first-time home buyer, but anybody who has not purchased a principal residence in the last 3 years. So that also goes a long way towards helping those folks who got caught up in the decline in the market issues in the last 10 years.
And you can take your own funds and save it for yourself on a tax-deductible basis. And perhaps there is some investment you've been looking at that will grow, and then that 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, as you've been personally saving, like many people do for a home, it has incentivized it, saving them money on taxes and perhaps on the growth of that money.
Yeah, excited to get a lot of those renters back into the home market. One other bill that was introduced was a clarification, a further clarification and refinement of Exemption U, or the declining value exemption. Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, as you may recall, in the past we've talked about this declining value exemption, which would entitle sellers or an individual who paid the transfer tax unnecessarily, where their SEV when they sold the property was equal to or less than the SEV when they purchased the property. As you may recall, there were instances when folks went to fill out Treasury Form 2798.
I won't hold you to that.
2796, I believe. They found that the SEV on unimproved land or a spec home often was on dirt.
Right.
So they did not qualify because technically the SEV was not equal to or less than when they sold it. So this bill, sponsored by Representative Dave Maturin, who sponsored the earlier legislation, would go back and make sure that those individuals who did sell at a loss, but based on the technicality of that initial SEV being on unimproved land, they would be entitled to the exemption. The key here is that it reaches back 4 years. We've had anecdotal results where brokers have been able to go back in their files and find up to $50,000 for past clients on this. So it's a great outreach tool, and who doesn't like to receive that call?
Yep.
I've had past clients as well do this on a regular basis, and the state is very clear on what they need in the documents for that program, and they do not budge. So all that has to be there when you submit application. But I'm going to even have to go back at my own clients and look at new construction, of when they were new construction, and see if that was there. It wasn't a factor we were thinking about before.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of good legislation on the horizon here in Michigan with the first-time home buyer savings account, and again the further refinement of the transfer tax exemption. And please text that word realtor to 30644. Again, Al?
30644.
And make sure you get signed up for the call for action alerts. With that, my name's Brad Ward.
I'm Brian Western.
And I'm Al Block.
Thank you very much for watching.